The two of you make your way to Camden Town, where, according to McMorrow's records, Graceful Quim keeps a flat. As you ascend the staircase of her apartment building, the closer you get to her address, the louder the noise you can hear. It's swinging music. It's rather vague, royalty-free kind of music, but it is loud, and it is emerging from around the corners of the door with a thump and a twang, and you can hear a lot of thumping inside the room, almost like there's a fight going on.
I say, there's something going on in there. Do we have weapons, by the way?
You can have whatever weapons you feel are appropriate to your role.
Well, then I shall have a small pistol, a Walter PPK. I have it inside my jacket, and I hold my hand over it, still keeping it covered by the jacket, just so, well, so I'm not seen brandishing a firearm in an public area like this. And I will move up towards the door then, to her apartment.
And Miles?
Well, Miles isn't carrying any weapons. Miles' body is a weapon. There is a moment where it looks very much like Miles might just stride through and kick the door open. But he pauses, takes a note from Gustav, and lets the boss go first.
Okay. You trying the handle?
I do. Seeing as there's noise coming from inside, there's perhaps the door is actually already open. So yes, I do try the handle first.
It is, as you hoped, unlocked. You push the door open. Are you doing so discreetly, or are you doing so widely?
I try to do it discreetly. If they are occupied with this fight, perhaps we can get the drop on them.
Well, you do so, and as you do, you almost get caught in the face by a cashmere sweater. A cashmere sweater that gets flung in your direction. You don't think it's by intent, it just hits the wall and slides down onto the floor.
Then I open the door quicker just to see what is going on in there.
What you see is Graceful Quim hurriedly packing a suitcase, throwing clothes all over the place, clearly trying to find the right gear. She looks in quite a state of panic, and then she sees you standing there and Miles Hardaway. Her eyebrows raise up as high as her hairline, and she grabs a lamp on the table before throwing it clean at you. Could I ask for both of you to make an athletics and dexterity roll? Remember, if you want to use a quip at this point, you'll get additional dice to roll.
I will try and do that then. So, I say, old girl, do watch where you put that thing.
Very good. You've got one die. It might be a mercy die if you didn't roll any successes. We'll see.
I get 3 successes.
Excellent. And how about Miles Hardaway?
No quips, but 2 successes.
In that case, you each duck in opposite directions. It's quite elegant, almost simultaneous, as the lamp smashes against the wall exactly where both of your heads would have been. She lets out a scream. Stay back!
Miss Quim, apologies for entering in this way. We were concerned about your safety.
I'll call the police. I'll call the police if you come any closer.
We are the police. We're here to find out what has happened to your employer, to Dr. McMorrow.
Miss Quim, who do you think we are?
Oh, hang on, you're Miles Hardaway.
Shh. Don't tell the whole building, darling. They'll all be in here.
I recognise you from... Oh, what was that movie? Well, I'm sure you were excellent in it. I remember you on the poster anyway. I'm so sorry about the lamp. I just really need to pack. I need to get away from here now. It's so tragic what happened to Dr. McMorrow. But I can't get caught up in this. I just can't.
We understand, of course. We'd never ask you to endanger yourself. However, If you were able to offer us just a little assistance, just a touch of insight into what happened to your former employer, we could help you get away.
Well, I'll give you a... I can give you a touch. She sits down and pours you a cup of tea. She had a teapot right there. Please, take a seat. But I really can't... I can't make this last too long.
Don't worry, Miss Quinn, we'll make it quick.
I really do appreciate it. What is it that you want to know?
I look at her and I put my elbow on the table and I say, we're trying to find out who did this to the doctor. Who was it that killed him?
Well, I'm sure I don't know. I mean, Dr McMorrow was always a sweetheart, but those rough folks he kept meeting with, they were leading him astray, back into weapons and war and who knows what. Well, there's no way it didn't come back to bite him, and I'm not sticking around to get caught in the crosshairs. That's all. He was meeting with I think he said former associates. It was all in our meeting ledger.
We looked at the meeting ledger, but unfortunately the page had been ripped out. All the information gone.
Well, that wasn't me.
Of course not. No secretary would do something like that. But do you happen to know who it was?
I come from a long line of reliable Quims. Let me just have a think. I think I've got it. Could you both of you make a cunning, and we will go for survival roll, please.
All right, that's 3 dice. 1 success.
That's one more than me.
Okay, in that case, as she's speaking, you can see the strangest thing, Gustav. One of her heavy curtains appears to be a flame. It's like a fire has just started in the distance behind you, on the next to the window of the flats. One of the curtains has just started licking with fire.
Get down, I say, and I try to get everyone on the floor, thinking that we are being targeted by this weapon that was used on Dr. McMorrow.
You diving, Miles?
Absolutely.
Okay, and are you diving for Quim, Gustav?
Yes, of course. We need to know what she knows.
Okay, you tackle Quim to the ground, and there's a sound. A little like lightning, a little like a electrical discharge, as the discharge misses you and Quim and strikes the opposing wall with a burst of electricity and then flame. You look up and see a small hole in the window, just as you did, Miles, back in the office. They're here! Oh no, they're here!
We have to go! And I begin trying to lead them out. We have to escape from this assassination attempt.
Okay. The other 3 of you then, trying to crawl out of the flat and back to the door, and then down the stairs toward your car?
Yes.
Yes, we'll do this the sensible way.
Well, Hardaway, now's the time to do something unsensible if you want to do something silly.
No, we'll protect the young lady.
Okay. The 3 of you keep your heads down. There is another... It's like a lightning strike outside, as this time the window does shatter, and the wall just above your heads bursts into flame.
Ah!
You make your way to the stairwell and down the stairs, but then, of course, you realise, what if they're out on the street? What if they are watching that way in and out?
They certainly could be, so as we're about to exit the apartment building, I try to look around, trying to make sure that we are not observed, but I suppose we've parked the car pretty close to the sidewalk or something like that, right?
Yeah, I would guess so.
Right. Well, I try to look around just to see if the shooter can be spotted here. Otherwise, I think we just have to try and book it for the car and try and get out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you can't see You can't see the assassin, the hit person, anywhere within sight. So maybe they're in a building across the street and had their sights fixed on Quim, but now you're in the dark. So certainly you can dash for the car and probably leave it to your expert driver, Miles Hardaway, to, well, speed away.
That's what I would like to do, so I just look to Miles and go, get us out of here.
Fine. You know what? I'm just going to sprint for the car.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to ask for athletics and dexterity from both of you, please. Remember, you can always use cinematics, and you can always use rewrites for re-rolls if you want to. You currently have, because we've had 2 failures, we are on 4 rewrites now. Because we spent 1 as well.
Well, dial that up to 5 failures.
I also fail.
Okay, so you could have 6 rewrites on your hand. Now may be a good opportunity. In fact, now is a tragic opportunity. As you both fail, you burst through the door, try and make your way toward the convertible. Of course, you drive everywhere, being elegant secret agents as you are. Unfortunately, the assassin has the drop on you, but they don't target you. They target Quim. And with a loud crack, she is struck as if by lightning. You almost feel like you see the electrical bolt and you are forced to let go of her hands as she is electrified, as you feel the current connect with you, and she lets out a scream as she says her last words, gripping onto your hands, Gustav. She says to you, "Electric Nouveau Design." And then she crumbles to ash. There's no time to waste. You want to spend the time and mourn this young woman that you felt you got to know so well, this richly drawn character of such depth, but there is no time. You could be under threat of meeting the same fate as graceful Quim. The car is right in front of you. Are you going to speed away? Or are you going to take your fight to the assassin?
I certainly will speed away. I don't want to end up at barbecue.
Gustav, your gun!
I hand my gun to Miles.
I'm pretty sure I can get a shot in before we leave. I would like to shoot at that assassin. I don't honestly mind whether I kill them. I do want to injure them because I'm sure that they're going to recur and I'll be able to pick them out by their distinctive limp.
Well, and this is what the I Never Miss cinematic is exactly designed for. So, could you go for an aim, and as I'm saying, you're firing fairly erratically. Let's go for aim and dexterity in this case.
That is 2.
No, 2 successes already, and, well, in that case, yeah, I'll say you can still use the I Never Miss.
We are swimming in rewrites. It only makes sense.
Yeah, I've never known a group to fail so often. So, with that said, you can narrate how the bullet makes its way into the assassin's knee, because it is not a direct shot. There's probably some ricochet involved here.
Just one ricochet, several ricochets. Off a streetlight, off one of those god-awful ugly signs that all Camden shops have. Off the assassin's own weapon and into the side of his knee.
You hear a shout, but it's a woman's shout, my lord. But there's no time. You're in the car now. And speeding down the street, not running the risk of being electrified, as poor graceful Quim was. Meanwhile, at the agency HQ, Ramona Wright. You have gone to visit the weapons division after ensuring that the experimental car was safely deposited in with R&D, as you said. However, upon speaking with the stuffy general in charge of weapons division at the agency, you know him well, because he's often stood in the way of your experiments, Sir Humphrey Effing. He basically tells you, McMorrow was mothballed. He was a kook and a danger. All this talk of electricity was foolish. Oil and gas, they're our future. You won't find anything left of McMorrow's in this laboratory. It'll all be down in the archives.
I see, Mr. Effing. As always, you are...
Sir Effing!
I see, Mr. Effing. As always, you are truly a beacon of civility, gentlemanliness, and outstanding attire.
Well, I mean, my wife dresses me, but I'll pass on the compliment.
Oh, I can tell. I say, smoking my cigarette and drinking my coffee. At the same time, of course.
That's quite a trick you have there, Dr. Wright. Never seen someone do that with a straw before. Anyway, I assume you're not here to get to any of your extant projects with tight deadlines, if you're asking about McMorrow.
Well, I do believe it is vital that I find out who used to work with McMorrow. You say he was a kook, as it were. Who else was defined as a kook in his career?
Oh, there was a team of 3 of them, I don't know, it was a few years back now. So many pass in and out of this agency, I can't remember all of their names. It'll all be down in the archives.
Well, I would be delighted if you were to at least escort me to the archives. After all, effing, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, no?
I can show you to the archives, right? I mean, I'm fairly certain you know where they are. He walks alongside you, and talk keeps returning back to his manner of attire. He always wears army greens, whether he is in uniform or not. He is not the kind of man to ever give up his military past in attire or conduct or custom. And beneath his bristling moustaches, his quivering lip is, well, I really will tell my wife that you spoke so highly of how I'm dressed today. I thought nothing of it, really. I mean, I wear this turtleneck sweater almost every Thursday, but either way, you know. And then you get to the elevator. Anyway, the archives.
I smile, genuinely amazed that somehow he didn't catch that I was being sarcastic, but that's fine. And I will make my way into the archives, curious, free other individuals. MAD has 3 letters. But then again, if he was one of the letters. What an interesting conundrum, I think to myself.
Well, the archives are a dusty assortment of boxed files, experiments locked away in cases, nothing terribly ignominious or infamous down here, nothing that could threaten the safety of the world, or so you're told. Everything that goes down here ends up being thoroughly redacted before it is boxed, and certainly deactivated if it is technology. But there are treasures to be found down here. You spent many of your first years as a intern at the agency just spending your hours burrowing through files, seeing what you could find about failed experiments, disgraced scientists, experiments that never were or almost had been. This place is like a second home to you. And so is the archivist, Monty Balls, a shuffling man who, upon seeing you, lifts his cap. Oh, Ramona! It's been a while.
It certainly has, Mr. Balls. I hope your health is well.
Oh, I can't complain. I mean, it's just dust down here, isn't it? I feel protected. Luckily, I mean, it's not like I'm in any danger down here, and the asbestos in the walls keeps it warm.
Certainly. But again, you can never be too careful, Mr. Balls.
Yes, yeah. I completely agree.
I'm going to need everything you have on the good doctor here, all previous associations with the agency, and all records we have of his activity outside of the agency, specifically past associates, especially associates who are still either active in the agency or not. And don't worry, I'll be able to handle most of the reading. I do have something just for this occasion. And I will press a little button on the side of my wheelchair, revealing a very high-tech, very fancy reading apparatus device. The special effects on this thing are, of course, extremely fancy, as it comes out of the wheelchair, all cogs and wheels, and then almost assembles itself by magic, giving me a full reading desk in front of said wheelchair.
Oh, blimey, if you'd wanted that, I could have given you a tray. But I'll fetch what I can about McMorrow. And off he shuffles. It doesn't take him long to return with a trolley full of boxes, and then you set to work digging through them, laying them upon your technological lectern, examining them, seeing what you can find, and as predicted, much of it has been classified, that anyone, not just anyone, could read all of this material.
Of course, but it does help that my device turns the pages for me. It means I can smoke and drink my coffee.
Exactly. I mean, you could do both of those without your hands, apparently. But it means you can have 2 cups of coffee and 2 cigarettes on the go if you so wish.
Well, that would be highly unladylike.
You spend the time in the dim light of the archives trying to find some revelation about McMorrow. And then you have it. It's largely redacted. There's not much you can glean. But it's clear that at one point he was working on new electrical weaponry with no need for ammunition. There's reference to a highly unstable gamma electric suit that could apparently make every wearer a walking nuclear bomb, or at least a bomb of similar capacity. He was working on this project with 2 partners, Professor Hickory Dartvine and Professor Angela Angel. I think that's everything, Ramona.
Fascinating. Hickory Darkvine and Angela Angel. What can I find out about these individuals? Is there anything more about them in the archives, perhaps?
I'll go and have a quick browse. This takes him longer. Eventually you wonder if Monty has got himself lost in the many corridors of this place. But eventually he emerges again, scratching his head and then putting the cap back on top. Funny thing, Mom, I can't find anything for Dartvine or Angel down here. What that probably means is they were not scientists in their own right. They didn't have teams. They were associated purely with Dr McMorrow. That's often what it means, if they don't have their own place. But that said, the name itself springs a bell, as they say. Let me just go and have one last look.
Well, please do.
He does so. Eventually he returns. I was looking through local papers. I was looking through, I don't know, I recognise the name Angela Angel from somewhere, that's for certain. But I just couldn't find what it might be. It's one of those names you're not likely to forget.
It certainly has some very impressive alliteration, yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, well, this is all it is, really, Mom. I mean, unless there's something else you need me to find for you.
No, Balls, you've done very well indeed. If you just pass me that article, I'll have a read of it, and then let us see if I can communicate with our darling boys out in the field. I'm sure at this point they are safely escorting the woman of question to HQ as we speak.
Oh yeah, yes, of course. I was looking under the science columns in the Times, and he passes you the local papers. I couldn't find anything relating to Angela Angel, but the name itself was familiar, Mom. Anyway, I'll leave you to it. Let me know when you want to go back up.
I will ruminate on this information. Interesting. I almost feel a sense of kinship with the good doctor. I understand, I think at least, what was going on here. A man, perhaps, simply trying to make the world a better place for science. But weapons and guns and bombs, that's what all the types like Ething want in this world. Fools, the lot of them. But I wonder, did his associates feel the same? Did they perhaps feel the work on the weaponry was actually more important than the work he wanted to divulge? Perhaps they wished to silence him, perhaps they wished to discredit him, steal his work. My goodness, so many possibilities. And as I'm thinking this all, the camera is on my face as I'm thinking very hard.
And Monty Balls there is turning his cap around in his hands, a very concerned look across his brow. Are you quite all right? Mom?
Sometimes thinking, Ball, requires more than simply thinking, you understand?
Not really. But that's why I'm an archivist and not a top-notch science brain like you.
I laugh, throw back my hair and say, yes, that's right. Anyway, you can see me out now.
Very, very good, Mom. You know, lots of people in the labs say that you're a real stuck-up... what was the word they used? I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't very nice, and I don't know why they say that at all. And he sends you up in the elevator.
I go up in the elevator, making a mental note to, yes, I really do need to get some people fired soon.
Yeah, that'll help your image.
It certainly shall. Anyway, time to communicate with the boys. Of course, I'll press the button on my communication device that, of course, links to the vehicle, and my voice will spread loud and clear saying, I say, boys, you aren't running into any trouble, are you? Nothing that you can't handle, Mr. Hardway?
So it emerges through the radio that until now was playing some Jerry Lee Lewis very loudly, has been replaced with the melodic tones of Ramona Wright questioning what you're doing as you are driving at speed out of London.
She's dead, I say. They killed her.
Oh my, that sounds awfully morbid, Mr. Hardaway. Is that true?
Of course it's true. It's hard to be mistaken about something like this. We still have her ashes on our hands. We almost caught the woman who did it, though.
The woman, you say? Fascinating. Fascinating. Well, boys, try not to be too late in getting back to HQ. I have found out some very intriguing information. To the names. Perhaps to you, Mr. Wallstrom. Do the names Hickory, Darkvine, and Angela Angel mean anything?
No, they mean nothing. But tell me this. Electric Nouveau Design? Is that something that means something to you? Is that something that you have found in the archives, maybe? Some references to that. It was the last thing that Graceful Kim said before she was barbecued.
Truly a shocking way to go. Does that name mean anything to me?
Not offhand, but then you find yourself looking at that newspaper in front of you, and that is where you see the name Angel. Electrical Nouveau Design, a gallery that has opened up outside the city, curated by A. Angel.
A. Angel. Gallery. How delightfully fascinating. Gentlemen, I do believe you have a new destination, and I will tell them the address of this gallery, according to the newspaper article at least. And then I will say, I'll get a car and I will see you there. Try not to get fried on the way. I'd be very upset if you both suddenly were no longer corporeal.
We'll see you there in peak condition.
Ramona, you have made your call to your two agency companions. You can reach them pretty quickly via private transport or public transport and make your way to the Electrical Nouveau Design, but there is a way of getting there faster, and it's not just helicopter.
That's true. Perhaps it would even be poetic if the vehicle in question was used to stop whatever nefarious deeds are taking place. And, well, I would like to give it a test run myself. It did look very impressive when Hardaway was at the wheel, but I think it would be better if I was at the helm, so to speak. So, I will use the new vehicle to arrive at the gallery, making a few adjustments, of course, to the seating area. I'd like to be comfortable.
You find that not only did McMorrow customize this so that it runs on electric power and can experience this lightning boost of speed, it is also a car that can be completely operated by someone just using handles and buttons. You don't need to use the pedals. As you are tinkering away with it, technologically speaking, you are able to determine that there are multiple modes of operation from within the driver's seat. It really is quite the invention, and shouldn't be allowed out of the lab, truthfully, but you've not finished the paperwork yet, so right now it is technically in your custody.
It certainly is, and I do like versatility in a good machine.
In that case, could you make a dexterity and pilot roll, please.
Would I also be able to use the extra dice I got from 2 quips I've made in the past?
You have. You did make 2 quips. Typically, they don't stack if you do one quip after the other, but I'm feeling kind, Craig. You can have 2 additional dice.
4 successes.
4 successes. Very good. You find yourself well at ease in McMorrow's car. You pull it out of R&D just as engineers are currently tinkering with it. They therefore fall backwards with lots of "Oys!" and "What's she doing?" as the ramp lowers and you burst out from under Agency HQ onto the busy street in this frankly ridiculous-looking automobile set on the path to electrical nouveau design, where your companions have already reached.
Indeed. As I exit, I simply say, "Field testing, darlings, field testing. Don't worry. She'll be fine." And I'll radio to Hardaway. "You weren't joking, Hardaway. This vehicle truly is a dream. Don't worry, I'll let you have a go soon."
Oh, Ramona, you're a delight.
Hardaway and Volstrom, you are at Electrical Nouveau Design. It is a gallery on the outskirts of London. There's not much build-up around it. You can see a tube station not far down the road, although it's not one of the more frequented ones. You're probably out in one of the distant zones here. And certainly foot traffic around here is pretty light. You can't imagine there are many people that just drop into this place. It's not like a high street. This is a place you would go because you're looking for it. Are you going to wait for your companion before you enter?
Yes, of course.
I think that might be a good idea.
Very polite of you. As you wait in the car and you plan ahead, could I ask each of you to make a, let's go for empathy and composure roll, please?
That is 1 success.
A remarkable 3 successes.
Wow, okay, in that case, Volstrom, you're the first one to notice it, though you chalk it up to coincidence. It's Miles who really feels confident about this thing. As you wait in the car on the opposite side of the street to the gallery, you see another car coming down the road. It isn't Ramona, and there's nothing terribly out of the ordinary to this car beyond its expense. It does look nice and sharp and top of the line, and it appears to about to be pulling in to the gallery car park. And then it stops, reverses a little, and speeds off down the road. Hardaway, you are almost certain that the driver eyeballed the 2 of you and decided against its course.
Wallstrom, did you see that?
Now that you mention it, there was something strange about that car. Certainly, they seem to be keeping tabs on us.
Do you still want to wait for Ramona, or should we give chase?
Well, I for one am tired of running. Perhaps we should get some answers.
Let's go.
Alright, so you heading off in pursuit of this car?
Yes, we are.
In that case, I would assume Hardaway is the driver in this case, so let's go for a pilot and cunning roll this time.
I'm not sure that was the case when we left Camden, so I'll let you imagine the scramble as we saw ourselves out for this chase.
Get out of the car and go over to the driver's side. You don't need to... Yeah, and so on.
And as I gun the engine, I proclaim, "I love a good chase," which is my second use of that quip.
Yep. Take 2 dice.
Still only 4.
Only 4. That's still good. 4 is a very nice number of successes as you belt it down the road in pursuit of the car that was about to turn into the gallery and thought better of it. And it doesn't take long or too much overtaking to approach its rear. It's quite clear that the beautiful woman sat in the driver's seat makes you. She sees you in the mirror, you see her eyes make contact with yours, and then you hear a loud crack. It's very similar to the one that you heard in McMorrow's car, and suddenly she is shooting at speed down the road. You may be able to keep up, but it's going to require a lot of successes.
Surely we can do this.
It's a pilot and dexterity, please, Miles.
And I shall lean my head out the window and yell, "Is that the best you've got? Because I want another die on this." Okay, so that's 2 10s, which double. Another 4.
Well, it's 4. 4 is still excellent. It's an excellent number. And against all odds, maybe it's because the car that you are pursuing is having to weave in and out of traffic, albeit at speed, and occasionally have to run the risk of crossing into an intersection or going around a roundabout, that you are able to catch up. Miles, you are putting all of your stunt driving to good use, as everything you've ever learned on the set is now put into real life action. Of Ulstrom, you are pretty much pinned back in your seat as you are tearing at speed at a way that is frankly not permissible on London roads or many roads in the British Isles outside of the Isle of Man. But you are able to keep up. You see the woman's eyes narrow in the mirror, and she flicks a finger out the window. At first you think she is flipping you the bird, but then she arcs her hand back, and there is a flash of golden light in her hand, and then another as a shot beams toward you. I need a pilot and dexterity roll again from Miles, please.
Wish me luck, Wallstrom.
Good luck.
That is 6. That's 6 successes.
6 successes. Well, no need for any rewrites at this point then, or cinematics, because this is cinematic enough. The lightning bolt doesn't just blast past you. You are able to ram the back of her car, and it sends her careening into a lamppost. Considering the speed that you are travelling at, that is not good for her. Not only that, she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. 6 successes has to translate to something epic after all. So as she hits the lamppost, the car does stop, turning into a unpleasant U-shape as the lamppost makes its way through the front of the car, but she doesn't remain in place to meet the lamppost head first. Quite the contrary. She flies over the windscreen. It is an open-top convertible. And across the pavement and into a garden where she groans and tries to pick herself up. You can see her clearly now. She is wearing a suit that could best be described as late 1960s fashion, at least at first glance. It's tight, it's designed, it is covered with a pattern that is frankly grotesque, but there is also... It looks like she's got a rubber layer to parts of the outfit. It could be rubber, maybe latex. Most curious is the device that is attached to her middle finger. It resembles a thimble, but trailing from it and back up her arm and into her costume are many tiny wires. You can see clearly as she is groaning and trying to lift herself up. So as you come to park and deal with her in some way, Ramona Wright, you park outside of the Electrical Nouveau Design Gallery, only to find your companions are nowhere to be seen. You use the radio to contact them, but they must have got out the car because they aren't hearing you.
If only I could perfect that small mobile communication device I've been working on, but sadly it's still very, very unacceptable. I'm a little irritated, if I'm honest. It's not fashionable to keep a lady waiting, but time is of the essence. I'm going to exit the vehicle, make sure it's secure, and then try and enter the building. Surely they'll be here soon.
Well, the door is open, and so you enter the gallery. The gallery is, well, startling. The light inside is beaming white, almost glaring, hurts the eyes, and there are sculptures within of impressive curvature. How thin metals like these have been contorted and shaped in such a way is impressive, even to you. You're no great admirer of art unless it has some function, but the metal that is being used for the nouveau art pieces within this gallery shows no visible signs of stress where they've been spiraled, contorted, curved and shaped.
Fascinating. I will move over to one of these sculptures and have a little admiring look, taking from my pocket a simple ballpoint pen. I chew on it slightly. After all, you can't smoke indoors, not my cigarettes anyway, it doesn't look fashionable.
Impressive, no? This work is by the artist Marcel de Camembert. He is, as they say, the big cheese in the artistic world. Just one of many exquisite exhibits being produced for electrical nouveau design. The curator is a thin man in nevertheless tight clothing that shows off his ribcage. It appears to be a combination of leather, latex and rubber. Seeing that you're looking at him as if he has just walked out of some underground den, he smiles. I'm something of a style icon. T.T. Clapp.
Ah, Mr. Clapp. A pleasure. Miss Wright.
I'm sure you could be.
I often am.
What is it that brings you to our gallery on this Thursday?
I was wondering if you could assist me with a small inquiry I'm making. I turn to face him again, just putting the pen within reach. I'm looking for an individual I believe was associated with this place once, an Angela Angel. I don't suppose the name rings any heavenly bells with you, Mr. Clapp.
Professor Angel is the owner of this gallery, of course. Though she is out on business at present. I am one of the curators here, and I can help you with any questions you may have about the art on display.
Fascinating, fascinating. I don't suppose the name Dr. Hickory Darkvine means anything to you. I've heard he was an associate of Miss Angel at one point.
Could you make an empathy and cunning roll, please? Or empathy and composure?
Sadly, no successes.
I'm afraid not. Darkvine. No, that name rings no heavenly bells.
I consider him for a moment and then turn back to the artwork. Truly fascinating artwork. I almost swear that there's some sort of technique being used here that I have not seen before. You said Professor Angel. Is this perhaps part of her work?
Yeah, that is correct. The work of Professor Angel marries, he lifts one hand, science, and he lifts the other hand, with art. When you place the two together, you'll come across something quite unique. More uniquer than another normal unique thing. That is to say, she is very good at experimenting with heat, controlled but intense heat, that enables one to reshape metals such as these in a way that few sculptors I should say, should be capable.
Fascinating. Does she create such wonders on site?
She keeps her workshop private, I'm sure you understand.
Oh, I do understand, but I represent some very influential people, and I'd love to see the workshop. Escorted, of course. I'm sure that you could arrange such a thing. After all, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, Mr. Clapp.
Could you make a persuasion and manipulation roll, please? As you are using your quip there, you've used that for the second time, so add 2 dice.
1 success.
He smiles at you. Well, as I say, Professor Angel is currently out. The workshop is underneath us, I can tell you that for your one success. But what I cannot do is take you there. It is private, I am sure you understand. Now, if you would like to tell me who it is you represent, these influential individuals, then I will be happy to pass on a message.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I should come back another time when she's actually present. I have bothered you an awful lot. I do apologize for that.
No. Please, do tell me, who are you representing, Miss Wright?
I give them a coy look, trying to assess them, and I say, "Who do you think I'm representing, Mr. Clapp?"
And he gives you a coy look. I don't know, Miss Wright. Who are you representing?
What if I was to say I was representing world-renowned actor Mr. Hardway, who is very interested in art? Surely you've heard that name.
He appears in the B features, no?
B features, come now. A features.
Well, A, B, I understand Hollywood has a vast reach these days, especially in the artistic world. And you are, what, his agent?
You could say that.
And Mr. Hardaway wants one of our artworks in his private mansion?
You could say that. You're very astute, Mr. Clapp.
Well, the most important thing is that you sign on the dotted line, so which of these art pieces strikes you?
I gesture to one completely at random. That one, it speaks to my inner spirit animal.
Revolution Betrayed. That is the name of that sculpture. Inspired by the communist Leon Trotsky. You can just make out his little beard there on the sculpture. It isn't a sculpture of Trotsky, but it is an abstract that resembles Trotsky.
And I will flutter my eyelids, lowering my eyelashes. Yes, I would like that one. But again, I really would like to see that workshop. I've told you who I am. I've been very helpful. Surely little old me could just see a little bit of one of those workshops. And if the group is okay with this, I believe we have at least 3 rewrites in the pool, don't we?
Oh yes, you have about 6, maybe more.
Could I please use Irresistible to automatically now succeed on social roles?
Yes.
Hurrah.
Go ahead.
Then yes, I will again move over closer, taking the glasses off fully, and offering him my cigarette. Again, what could little old me do if you're watching me? Not like I'm suddenly going to start stealing all the artwork.
I cannot help but be won over by your charm and caustic vulnerability. Yes, of course. I'm sure, in truth, Professor Angel won't mind if you just have a little look around. Maybe the 2 of us after can get something to eat or drink?
Well, I am fond of a steak.
I was expecting something a little more fine cuisine, but a steak is a steak, and they can come big or small.
They certainly can, Mr. Clapp, they certainly can. Come now, let's go and look.
Do you prefer your steak rare or well done?
Medium well done.
Medium to well done. You are one of the proletariat. He heads to his office, and you see him open a panel on the wall. He taps some digits, and a segment of the wall of the gallery lowers with a satisfyingly.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the scenario The Electric Touch, for They Came from Classified, which is on Kickstarter right now from our friends at Onyx Path Publishing. We were joined by Matthew Dawkins and Kat Evans for this series. The music was made by Atrium Carceri, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody, dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Ryan F., Xabier, and Daniel for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Infinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember to take your martinis shaken, not stirred.